You know, I was thinking about some of the comments left on my recent video, Power and Responsibility, by Matthew 4:19, and it got me to thinking about sort of predispositions to follow certain dogmas and theologies and whatnot. And I realize I'm not bringing anything new to the discussion, but I wanted to kind of ask the question and see what all of you think when it comes to being predisposed to accept certain theologies or even to seek them. And so, you know, some of the things that Matthew 4:19 was saying in the comments back and forth between us were about, you know, how it's all about God and you know, it sort of doesn't matter what we think, what we want, and that, you know, he created evil and he created us the way we are, but he punishes us also for the way we are, or at least for the enactment of that, and how it doesn't much matter what we care, think, or want. And I thought, geez, you know, that there's just no way. There's no way in hell, pardon the pun, that I'm going to follow a theology like that. It doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's horrifying, actually, to contemplate that, you know, that might actually, you know, that there would even be the smallest snowball's chance in that place of that being accurate or correct. And I'm just not predisposed, I think, to follow something like that. And I wondered what predisposes someone like Len to follow a theology like that. And, you know, I kind of reject the notion that, you know, religion is mental illness and whatnot. I think, obviously, first of all, that's not very charitable. And secondly, I think the most you could sort of say is that it's irrational, but then we're all irrational to some degree or another in some area or another. So I don't think it's very charitable to call it mental illness. But I do think that there are things that would predispose us to follow a certain doctrine. You could sort of insert genetic fallacy here, if you like. Obviously, we would have to live in an area and in a time when that theology was present and was the sort of maybe even more the prevailing theology, or at least available. But more importantly, I wonder about, since we know, this is known, that our personalities and sort of who we are formed in the very first years of our worldly experience. That, you know, what in those first few years, those formative years, could predispose us to follow a certain theology or belief set later in life. If someone were to seek this ultra-authoritarian, hierarchical power figure, could that be because that was their experience when they were younger? Or could it even be that they were in an environment where there actually was no authority figure and it's very terrifying, and so they were sort of seeking that which you know, out of a vacuum sort of thing. And likewise, I was brought up without that kind of hierarchical family environment. You know, my thoughts and feelings were considered as equal to that of adults. My responsibility was not, of course, and so, you know, my parents, this wasn't some sort of free-for-all. I want to make that very clear. They sort of expressed, you know, that they've got to make the decisions because my care and well-being is their responsibility. But they didn't view me as sort of less than, and they really, you know, for all intents and purposes, considered my feelings and thoughts and desires and input in things. And so sort of larger hierarchical systems of power and authority don't resonate real well with me. I don't do that well because I sort of would ask the question, you know, what gives you that power and authority over me? So certainly this kind of divine command does not resonate with me in the slightest. And of course, you could expand this to all the different theologies, the love and gushy type Christian theologies where God is all about love, and of course you could take it to Islam and to many other, Jainism. You know, you could take it to all the other different belief structures and religions out there. But I'd just like to ask the question and get some feedback from all of you, most especially any of you who are former theists. You know, if that makes any sense, this sort of predisposition to follow a certain theology, and of course that would include atheism, skepticism, hard skepticism, you know, like a hard atheism. I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that. Thanks very much for watching.